Hello everyone, Lindsay here. Welcome. Today is January 13th, 2021. This is day 13 out of 20 where I'm doing some self-reflection on the gifts and the lessons that I learned in 2020, and I've been inviting you to do the same. So feel free to watch the other videos if you haven't, or just jump on now and you can start to create your own list, the 20 things that you learned from 2020. And it's important that we take time for reflection. And I'm not sure if most people know this, that, self-inquiry is actually an essential part of our spiritual practice. It's an essential part of the yoga tradition. It's not just asana, physical postures. That's such a teeny, teeny, tiny bit of the yoga tradition. But without self-inquiry, there's no growth. There's no growth. I mean, because we don't really take the time to understand the lessons that we've learned through the challenges that have been presented to us. So anyways, let's jump right into the 13th thing that I learned. Now, if you watched yesterday, the 12th day, I talked about trust and faith. And this one goes hand in hand. And the thing that I learned this past year is, like, I've always, well, first of all, let me tell you what it is. Surrender. I must surrender. I must surrender my ego. I must surrender my need to control a situation. I must surrender my judgment. I must surrender my resistance to change, so that I can open up and be a clear channel for divine grace to enter. Because all of those things, the ego and the control and the resistance and the storytelling, the hard beliefs, the endless fluctuations of the mind, close off that channel. They just create clutter and create inhibit the flow of that divine grace coming in. Now, the thing that I learned is the surrender message has been coming up quite consistently for the past 2 years. And so I've been really working with the idea around surrender for throughout 2019. And what I realized in 2020 is that, I can't surrender without trust, and I can't trust without surrendering. That they really go hand in hand. Because I really didn't have the trust that all would be well if I did surrender. So how can you surrender without the trust? And then I was having a difficult time surrendering the need to control the outcome. That just doing the practices, like I wanted to do particular practices for a particular result, and that's always a good thing to note, be very clear on the practices that you're doing, but there was a lot of expectations behind that. And if I wasn't getting those expectations met, then I felt like the practices were not working for me. And so, but then, if you've watched all of these videos thus far, the first one, the day one, that I talked about, that I realized the practices are working. I just had to have some really hard things come into my life to see how steady and resilient and adaptable I've become based on the practices that I'm doing. So surrender, and surrender is actually specifically talked about in the Yoga Sutras, which is like the Bible of yoga. And it is key. It is absolutely key to reaching higher states of consciousness. Is absolutely key in experiencing your own divine nature, because what gets in the way of us experiencing our divine nature? Whatever creates tension or resistance or clutter, whether that be our beliefs, our thoughts, our old patterns, our old habits, unhealthy habits, our ego. So, surrender was the big lesson. Surrender and trust intertwined in this beautiful dance together, that you need to have both. You have to have trust in order to let go, right? And surrender, because it's a very scary thing to let go of all of that. And you cannot surrender without trusting that all will be well. So I hope you find that to be helpful, and take time to reflect on that one. I really encourage you to reflect on both those. Like, Can you expand your trust and faith enough that you are able to surrender and soften and let go of that which is really impairing your ability to align with your truest, most beautiful nature? And so put some comments down below. Let me know if that resonated with you and any insights you might have gleaned from it. Or just drop in what your 13th lesson that you've come up with on your list and put that in. I'd love to hear from you. And definitely check out the link in the bio or on my website, lindsaymccowan.com, for information on the upcoming Sankalpa workshop. It's going to be on the 30th. We'll do it online together, and you'll get specific practices. First, you'll get super clear on what your Sankalpa will be, your resolution for the year, and it's going to be based on alignment with your soul's purpose, not your head, not your mind, and not someone else's expectation of you. But it's going to be based on the heart, and then also we'll give you some ancient techniques that will help you seed that Sankalpa, and so that it can take root and blossom this year into fruition. Okay, that sounds exciting to you. Join me because I'm excited to do mine. Okay, so until tomorrow, my friends, take care and many blessings.